Portland Culinary Podcast and Portland Culinary Radio. I'm Stephen Shumlin, your host. We are doing a special on-the-road edition here in Bozeman, Montana. So excited to be here. We're at Blacksmith Italian. My friend Cory Dragone, did I get that last name right?
Perfect. You're getting better every time.
It's fantastic. He can be taught. That scene in Aladdin. So it's been funny, Cory. I have to tell you that when my fans in Portland, I said I'm coming to Bozeman. You have a lot of fans still in Portland. You had an amazing food cart there. I heart this cart, and everyone is sending me messages, private messages on Facebook and Instagram. You got to go see Cory. You got to go see Cory. And I'm like, I'm on it. I already reached out to him. But then when I got here to Bozeman, been here about 4 days now, and people I've never met before meet me, hear my what I'm doing, or even other people interviewing. Oh, have you gone to Italian Blacksmith? You got to go there. You got to go there. Oh, Steve is such a great guy. And I'm like, who's Steve? He goes, oh, that's your dad.
Yes.
And you and your dad opened the restaurant together. And so your restaurant is hugely respected here in Bozeman by the locals. It's incredible. So hats off to what you and your dad have put together. So you're the head chef here, founding head chef.
Yes.
So I'm excited to tell your story, eat your amazing food. I'm so glad I get to drink wine while you talk. That makes me happy. We've got some Pinot Noir, right, warm and dear to my heart, right from Carlton, Oregon. So that makes me happy. Let's see if I can get this name right. Anna Ami.
Yes.
Vineyards. I'm going to have to go there now and say, yeah,
it's delicious Pinot Noir.
Wine in Bozeman. All right. So stuff we always talk about on my podcast. Where were you born?
I was born in Rochester, New York.
Okay. And where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Greece Olympia.
Greece Olympia. So that's in the town of Greece in New York near Rochester.
Yes. Greece borders Rochester.
Okay. So then you went to Olympia High School.
Yes.
That's hilarious because, I have friends that went to Olympia High School in Olympia, Washington.
Oh, yeah.
What's the mascot there?
The mascot is the Spartans, and what they do there is, in my town, there was 4 high schools, and they're all named after Greek gods, from Greece. So there's Greece Odyssey, Greece Olympia, Greece Athena, and Greece Arcadia.
Oh, nice. I like that. That's cool. Okay, and then you also did, you got to go to an extra education while you were in high school. Tell me about that.
So in high school, I went to a vocational school to take cooking, and it was a Western Monroe County, so probably 5 or school districts would go to school there to learn a trade. It was a trade school, so I got to go for cooking, and yeah.
Okay, so while you're in high school, you get to go learn cooking while you're in high school.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal. I mean, if you like to cook, that sounds phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could take anything you wanted. If you wanted to be a hairdresser, you could go for that. If you were in construction. So I knew that I was probably going to cook someday, and I was already cooking at a restaurant, so I went to take cooking.
That's fantastic. Okay, so speaking of cooking, tell me where your cooking journey began. So
when I was a kid, I would spend the days at my grandmother's house watching her cook dinner for us every night. My aunt, her daughter, Lori, also taught me how to make Cornish game hens as a young kid. With my grandma, she would show me chicken French. It's a dish from Rochester, or it's famous in Rochester. They sell it everywhere. They sell it at Italian restaurants, even though it's called French. It's when you pound your chicken, you put it in flour and then egg, so it's almost like French toast on the outside of your chicken.
That sounds amazing. So she taught you to make that regional dish?
Yes.
Speaking of regional dishes from that neck of the woods, at least from here, from the West Coast, I'm assuming you've had beef on weck?
Of course, yeah.
That's a buffalo dish,
It
right?
is a buffalo dish, and I worked at a restaurant in Rochester called Bathtub Billy's. It was right down the street from Kodak.
Gosh.
And we did beef on Kimmelwick rolls all day long.
Oh my gosh, that's fun. So Lardo, my friend Jacob Greer does Aquavit Week every year, and now he's doing them across the country. And so 2 years ago, I talked Lardo into doing a dish for Aquavit Week. So they did an Aquavit Bloody Mary, and they did a beef on weck dish at Lardo.
Oh, cool.
That was so phenomenal. Yeah, as you mentioned, you're 10 years old is when you first started cooking with your aunt and your grandma. And so tell me about your birthdays, because that's one hell of a story.
So for my birthday as a kid, I would always ask for lobster for my birthday because I knew there was no other day I would probably get it. So my father would go buy live lobsters. He'd go pick up my mother from her house. He'd bring her over, and we would all cook lobsters together. And I was a kid, and I was probably cooking my own lobster by the time I was 10.
Okay, so what kind of childhood do you have that you know to request lobster birthday? That is phenomenal. And and I tell you, I own Happiness as meltedbutter.com, and I think there is no other delivery vehicle for melted butter better than lobster.
I agree with you. There is popcorn, but anybody can make that.
Yeah, and I do love me some popcorn. In fact, Zach and I are going to the movies tomorrow night. You bet your bippy we're going to have buttered popcorn. But that's just a phenomenal story. And I think that perfectly illustrates why the heck you're a chef. Because any kid that wants lobster for their birthday at 10 years old, you were destined to be the world-class chef that you are.
Oh, yeah. I still ask for it till today.
On your birthday?
Oh, every day.
Every day. Love it. Oh. Okay, so you're 10 years old is when you first start cooking. Your aunt's teaching you. Your grandma's teaching you. That sounds phenomenal. So tell me about how old when you had your first professional cooking job?
When I was 15 years old, I started working at a fish market in Rochester in the Charlotte area. It was called Ocean Foods. So I would go there and I would fry fish every Friday with me and 3 other friends from high school.
Your first job then was frying haddock at this fancy fish market restaurant right on the beach in Rochester.
Yes, except it wasn't fancy. It was a typical New York fish market run by a Greek with missing all the fingers on one of his hands. So it was intimidating to a young teenager.
And was he a bit of a curmudgeon?
Yes, very much so.
So he probably had the gift of yelling.
He did.
So you were prepared to work in kitchens for that. He started you off right.
He did. I loved it.
No, that's funny. Okay, so what did you do after high school?
After high school, I moved to Traverse City, Michigan for 6 months because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
And you just hung out. It was funny. Last night, literally, I had some Traverse City whiskey, a whiskey distilled in Traverse City. So while I'm here in Bozeman.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful town. It's the cherry capital of the world.
Yep. Okay, and then where'd you end up going to as far as professionally after you left Traverse City?
Then I moved to Buffalo, New York, just an hour outside of Rochester, where I'm from. Lived there for 3 years, and I worked at a family-owned bar and grill called Tully's, and they probably have 7 or 8 locations. Everything's homemade. It's very busy, and I learned a lot of fast-paced cooking.
Okay, so I want to catch up the story. So I met you at your amazing Portland food cart. I heart this cart. What year did you go to Portland?
In the very beginning, or near the beginning of 2011.
2011. And what brought you to Portland? Why did you go to Portland?
I moved to Portland because I always wanted to go to the Pacific Northwest. From a boy from Rochester, New York, it's always this majestic place, and at least in my mind. So I knew that one day I would either end up in Seattle or Portland, and Portland was the new hot spot.
Okay, and then where were you living when you left Portland? Or when you went from wherever to Portland, where were you living at the time?
I came to Portland from being a chef in Yellowstone National Park at Lake Hotel.
That's just down the street, right? I mean, not really, but it's like, what, an hour away or so?
So it's in Wyoming, but the entrance to Yellowstone is an hour and a half from Bozeman.
Gotcha. So I suspect then that you did, when you were living there, working there, you probably did a little bit of partying in Bozeman.
Every chance I got.
All right. So you opened a Portland food cart. Did you move to Portland to open a cart, or did you just want to work at one of the cool restaurants there?
I originally wanted to work at Le Pigeon.
Oh, that's a fantastic place. I love it. Okay, and then you ended up opening a food cart and having amazing food.
Thank you.
Okay, so shout out to all your friends in Portland who still miss that cart and would like you to come back. And I'm going to challenge them to heck with that. They need to do what I did. They need to come to Bozeman and eat here at this restaurant.
They do, and quite a few have. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, that's an honor to what an amazing chef you are.
Thank you.
Okay, so what year did you leave Portland and come to Bozeman?
I came to Bozeman in September 2013.
Okay, and tell me about that story. How did this amazing place we're sitting in come to be?
So before I moved to Portland, my father called me and said, let's open up a restaurant together. And I believed him because it was my father, after others have asked me in my past, which I've said yes every time, but we never actually opened a restaurant. So
wait a minute. How many times have someone said, "Hey, let's open a restaurant together"?
probably 6 times to me.
And each time it was somebody you could see yourself in business with.
Yes.
And you said yes.
Well, maybe not each time, but I was willing to do it because I was in my 20s.
Okay. But each time you said yes, and it didn't happen.
Exactly.
But finally your dad says it, and you are thinking this will actually happen.
100%, yes.
Okay, so now normally, they just remade Lost in Space. Netflix has got the series out. It's a lot of fun. I've been watching with my girlfriend. And normally when family says, let's do business together, what goes through my mind is danger, Will Robbins, danger. Will Robinson, danger. What were you thinking this is a good thing to be in business with your dad?
I was thinking it's probably the best thing that I could do.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so you move here to open a restaurant with your dad. Now, they say don't do business with family. How do you guys make it work?
So, in my opinion, people ask me this all the time, and I give them the example of there's an owner and there's a chef at restaurants, and they never met each other. So they have different morals, different views, different ideas about the food. So when you do it with a family member or your own father, you have the same morals. You get to sell homemade pasta. You get to buy local ingredients. Because if I feel that way, it was probably instilled in me by somebody in my family. So he feels that way. So it's the best option I think that you can have is to work with somebody that has the same morals as yourself.
Well, I just, you're so blessed because not everybody has a good relationship with their dad, particularly to be where they could be in business with their dad. And I wish people could see the smile on your face when you talk about your dad. I met him, and I had mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, Portland, everybody says, you got to go see Cory. I get here, oh, you got to go to Steve's restaurant. You're the guy making the amazing food, but he's become the local celebrity. He's almost like he's the mayor of Bozeman, it seems like.
Yeah, he's definitely the mayor of Bozeman, I think.
And I can't tell you how many people love him and have been telling me, you got to go there. I'm like, I know, I've heard this 100 times. I'm already scheduled to go.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so tell me about the name. Where'd the name Blacksmith Italian come from?
So my great-grandfather Stefano was a blacksmith in Italy. He's from Bari, which is in the Puglia region. And he practiced as a blacksmith as a teenager.
So just stop here a second. It's fun. But in Portland, we have a food cart now, which you would love to go to. Walter Trafone has a food cart called Bari PDX. I had a little bit of help with him when he was getting started, and he does street food from Bari, Italy. How crazy is that?
That's awesome. And actually, I'm going to Portland in 2 weeks, so I'll have to go check it out.
I will take you to meet Walter.
Perfect.
That'll be so much fun. We'll shoot a little video and have you trying some panzarota. Okay,
that's awesome.
So your grandfather grew up in Bari, Italy.
Yes.
And what was his name?
His name was Stefano Dragone.
That's a great name.
Yes. So then my father's name is Stephen, after his grandfather, and my middle name is Stephen as well. So it's all after the blacksmith. He came across Ellis Island. Moved up to Rochester, New York, where a lot of Italians live now from that time. And he worked as a blacksmith in Rochester. So the name comes from my family and the craftsmanship it takes to make homemade and good quality pasta and food. And
so you're just honoring him. You're honoring your grandfather. In fact, that's awesome. I love it. And what I wonder what it is. Blacksmith Italian. Like, okay, it's a restaurant. They must serve Italian food. I come and check out what's with the blacksmith thing, and then if I go onto your website or read, I say, oh, that's in honor of your grandfather. That's fantastic. And I love this. Right up here, you've got a mural of a blacksmith.
Yes,
I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit. What if someone comes here? We're about to eat 4 incredible dishes, but a little bit about what kind of food do you have here?
The Italian food we do here, we have some classics. We do spaghetti carbonara. We do orecchiette rustica. But then we also we try to take seasonal produce and match it with beautiful proteins and put it over top of our homemade pasta.
And you make your own pasta right here?
We do. Every day we make pasta.
Yeah, and I saw you guys back there making it when we were getting ready, and it looked incredible.
Yeah, so some of the food is food I grew up with in Rochester, New York, and the flavors of New York Italian, and some of it is just with my travels and seasonal influence.
I love it. Okay, so So I got to ask you this question. You know, fulfillment's a big deal to me, and you're just smiling. Are you happy at this stage in your journey? Are you happy? Are you a chef who's happy?
I am happy. This is, I feel very lucky and blessed that this has happened, and I have a restaurant, and that people come to eat here.
That's phenomenal, because you kind of exude this is the joy. And being a chef is hard work. People don't understand how much hard work it is. And I meet a lot of chefs, and you can see it, they're just dead in their eyes. They're miserable. They hate their life. They're working for a bad owner who doesn't care. And you've got the exact opposite. You've got joy and happiness. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I guarantee you that comes out in the food, because that's how it works. Okay, so let's talk through some of these dishes. This is the favorite part of my podcast. I eat and you talk. So tell me about this board here.
So the board is our antipasti board, which is always before the pasta.
Because the ante in that context means before.
Yes. So it's a meat and cheese board. We get prosciutto from Parma, Italy. We get salami from Criminelli in Salt Lake City, and he is also an Italian who moved to America. His family was making salami for years and other charcuterie, and he opened up a shop in Salt Lake, and he is an artisan salami maker.
That salami is, I love this. This is incredible. But the salami, I just had a bite. That is fantastic.
Excellent, yeah.
Okay, tell me about this cheese.
So we also place vintage Fontina cheese on it. It's from Montana. So I try to buy local ingredients, and they do a play off of it. They call it Mount Tina instead of Fontina. Very delicious.
Yeah, wonderful nutty background.
We put a homemade ricotta cheese on the dish, local honey, and some Gorgonzola Dolcina. And, of course, huckleberry jam. Huckleberries are known out here in Montana.
And then this beautiful toast.
So we have crostinis. I get all my made from baguette from a local company on the Rise Bakery.
All right, and tell everybody about this, because not everybody knows what that is.
The Gorgonzola?
Yeah.
So the Gorgonzola Dolcina, that one's actually made in Wisconsin, where they make beautiful cheese. A lot of people think ours is from Italy, but Dolcina just means sweetened. So it's a sweetened Gorgonzola is the type of Gorgonzola. It's like a blue cheese, but the Italian version.
This is phenomenal. I could just eat this and have a couple bottles of wine and take a great nap.
Perfect.
That's phenomenal. Okay, so this next dish, talk to me about this beautiful thing here.
So we've also made smoked pork chop. It's Montana pork from the Hutterites. They raise other animals as well as turkeys and chickens. I buy my turkey every year for Thanksgiving through them. We grill the pork chop. Very tender, juicy. We top it with pomegranate molasses. Then we make a apple and fennel panzanilla salad, or a play off of a panzanilla, more my style of cooking. A panzanilla salad is a Tuscan bread salad usually it has basil and tomatoes. Ours we're putting focaccia bread from On the Rise, some local arugula from Three Hearts Farm, just 5 miles away from the restaurant, apples, and fennel shaved with the apple cider vinaigrette.
That's incredible. And the pomegranate molasses, that's like the coup de grace. That is just phenomenal.
It is. It's one of those things you have that people don't normally get to eat on their own until they go to a restaurant, so it's a big hit.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, and then this pasta dish, this looks phenomenal.
So we change a lot of the dishes with the season. So this dish is our diver scallops. They come from Maine. We have great companies in Bozeman that distribute and fly seafood in every day. We grill the scallops. We put some arugula pesto over the top. And then it's going to sit over top of our spinach and ricotta gnocchi. So we're making cheese dumplings out of homemade ricotta, mixing it with spinach, and then we toss that gnocchi with some organic oyster mushrooms, some cherry tomatoes. We also use the arugula from Three Hearts Farm in that. And that's a perfect seasonal dish in my mind.
Okay, so this ricotta is incredible, and there's a really cool secret behind it. So tell me about this.
So when I was in Portland at my food cart, I would work festivals and things for my friends a lot that also had food carts. So I would have someone run my cart for the day, and this ricotta is from Pulehu Pizza. From Annabelle. She gave me her ricotta recipe when I would cook pizzas for her at festivals, and then I used it today at Blacksmith, and it is so delicious.
And I love me Annabelle. She's a phenomenal human being. She's a great chef in her own right. How cool is it that someone that had a food cart in Portland, their ricotta is used at this amazing world-class restaurant right here in Bozeman? I love it.
I love it too, and I let her know whenever I see her, and I thank her. So thank you very much.
So this is your spring pasta dish.
This is a spring pasta dish, yes.
Because it looks spring. You've got some microgreens on top. It's phenomenal. I got to tell you, those scallops are cooked perfectly.
Awesome.
And I would swear that I was in Maine because they taste so fresh.
They are. The companies we use out here, I'm so happy with everybody. They, if you work with them, they'll work with you, and makes a happy family.
Okay, so why an arugula pesto with this dish?
Just that dish, to me, it gets a nice peppery bite, a lemony bite to that arugula pesto, and that goes well with the scallops, the sweetness of the scallops.
You're dead on. I love it. I love it. The peppery is just fantastic. And people don't realize, a lot of people know, foodies know, but some people don't know, you can make different kinds of pesto. You can make, for example, I recently got to have a wasabi pesto.
Oh, very, very new age.
Yeah, use some wasabi greens.
Yeah.
I've had mint pesto.
Yep. At lunch, we actually have a local roasted leg of lamb panini. And on our panini at lunchtime, we put a mint and pistachio pesto.
Oh, baby. Yes, that sounds
Should have made that.
No, this is fantastic. And I love the pasta. This is just tremendous gnocchi.
Thank you.
I can't. I took some pictures while you were cooking it up, and I was just like, okay, I just want to just put my head down into that pan. All right. So I saw something up on the chalkboard that kind of blew my mind, and I'm like, we have got to have that. And you graciously made 3 dishes, but then you said, oh yeah, we'll do this. And so tell me about this incredible culinary delight that is before me that's blowing my mind.
So we have some local duck bacon, which I have nothing to do with except that I sell it at the restaurant. So I'm so happy with this product. We've been serving it for over 3 years, and I try to buy as local as possible whenever possible. So this is one of those things that I just keep as an add-on. It's a duck breast. They make it at Buck's T4, which is a restaurant in Big Sky, Montana, about an hour from Bozeman. It's world-class ski mountains there. And they season the duck breast perfectly. It's perfectly smoked. All as I do is throw it on the grill for a few seconds, and then the guests get to put it on top of their steak, or they put it on their salad, or you could even put it on top of the butterscotch budino for dessert. It's delicious.
Okay, so this is just a special, amazing, fun add-on. While I'm getting my amazing food that you're creating, I can add on this smoked duck breast.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. I tried some just by itself, and now my mouth is full because I'm having some with my gnocchi. It is terrific. And here's what I love about you've cooked a lot of parts of the country.
Yep.
And while you were traveling and cooking, you picked up different styles and different flavors. And even though this is an Italian restaurant, and I can get my traditional Italian dishes, you do kind of a little bit of a take on it, where you have things like this amazing smoked duck breast, or bacon, smoked duck bacon.
Yes.
Just to be able to add to it, because you know what it's like. You've been out there in the real culinary world.
Exactly. I want people to eat things they can't make at home themselves. I want them to eat things they're not going to get at any other restaurant in town. It's kind of my style of cooking, and especially supporting local, where Buck's T4 and Big Sky, they send people to eat here all the time because they know that we serve their bacon, and we send people to eat there all the time. So we're working as a team.
Okay, speaking of local, how did you guys end up in Bozeman? Yeah, why is this restaurant here? I understand you want to open a restaurant with your dad. You guys like it, you get along. We're going to have the same values. Okay, so that answers the question, why a restaurant? But tell me the question, why Bozeman?
So Bozeman ended up, it was one of my dad said to me, let's write down the top 10 places we would like to live. And Bozeman, Montana was on our list.
Was Portland, Oregon?
Portland, Oregon was definitely on the list.
Oh, yes. Okay, good.
And we probably looked at 5 restaurants in Portland. None of them worked out. It has to be the perfect situation, the perfect time. Our first choice was to do Italian food because we're Italian. And that would come from our hearts. We'd never get tired of going to work every day. And inventing and having inspiration if we got to do Italian.
Because you owned a food cart. When people ask me, what's the one food I should do if I open a food cart, I'll say the food you could cook every day and not get tired of it.
Exactly.
And for a lot of people, they don't have a dish like that. And then if that's true, you should not open a food cart or a restaurant.
No, you'll be tired just like if you work in a factory at that point.
Yep.
This Blacksmith ended up happening. The spot opened up, and this was our favorite spot in 3 years of looking for restaurants.
So you found the perfect spot, and you had already lived, about an hour away.
Exactly.
But I'm sure chefs, man, I'm sure you came to Bozeman to party.
I did, yeah.
Have you been to the Hofbrau?
I have. I love to party there.
I love dive bars. I found my way to the Hofbrau already.
The Bermuda Triangle, they call those 3 bars there.
Yeah, let's see if I get this right. Molly Brown.
Yep.
The Scoop.
Yep.
And the Hofbrau.
Perfect.
Now, I don't know about the Scoop. It looks a little too clean to me to be a dive bar, but just from the outside. But we'll see.
Go in after midnight. You'll love it.
Okay, and then Cat's Paw is another one I've heard about.
Cat's Paw, yep.
And then a friend of mine has been telling me he's got to take me to the Eagles. And I discovered...
The Eagles is a lot of live music and dancing.
Okay. So you guys, okay, a place opened up, Bozeman. You moved here. You're happy here. And Bozeman feels like home now, doesn't it?
It does. This is the longest I've ever lived anywhere, except for growing up.
Okay, since you're an amazing chef and you had a food cart and you're going to open a restaurant, I so wish you'd gone to Portland, but I can forgive that because now having been here in Bozeman a few days and eating the food and the people, I totally get it. There's only a couple places where I've traveled where I feel like, I could actually live there. I felt like I could. And this is one of them. I feel like I could live in Bozeman. This is somewhere I could actually make it work here.
That's what happened to me. That's what all my friends and family who visit, they've all been back more than once in 4 years because you come here, you fall in love with it. It's beautiful. I don't want to tell too many people that because people from Montana don't want anyone to come. But, I'll let the secret out.
All right. And, that just reminds me of the hat, which we won't explain, but the hats that say MFT on them. I absolutely love that hat. And if you don't know what that is, just Google it because we're not going to talk about it on the podcast. I know you spent a lot of time with Brian.
Yep.
He does amazing reindeer sausages.
He does.
A great food cart down in Bee's Knees.
Yes.
Down in Portland. You ever going to have like a reindeer sausage night in honor of Brian?
I definitely should. He's come to Bozeman twice to visit. He's eaten everything on the menu. I think he ate 12 courses one night. He's a very in-shape man, but the man can eat more than anyone I've ever met. So maybe I'm going to Portland in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll bring back some reindeer sausage with me.
I'm so glad that you're happy and you're having a good time in your journey. And while we are still grumpy you left Portland, I celebrate that you're here and doing an amazing job with incredible food and getting to work with your dad. I know I do a few projects with my son Zach, and your dad must be so proud of you and so happy. What a joy it is.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And I think, it's all working out well, and thank you very much for visiting.
Oh, my delight. All right, so if you're listening to this episode of the Portland Culinary Podcast, you need to come to Bozeman and you need to come to Blacksmith Italian, take a lot of pictures, do a lot of posts, and I want a lot of people to come here and just enjoy it and check it out. And if you're listening to this podcast here in Bozeman, man, you guys have a wonderful, amazing city. It's a joy to be here. And if you've not been to Blacksmith Italian, you need to get your butt down here and have some of this incredible food. Thank you so much for joining us, Cory.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Cheers, everyone.